Okay.
Uh, good afternoon to all. Today we are going to conduct the online academic counseling for the MA Psychology second year students for 2022 January session batch and July 2022 admission batch. So both the batches we have clubbed and we are conducting the academic counseling sessions.
హలో మేడం వాయిస్ వస్తుందా? ఓకే ఓకే మేడం. Today we are conducting MA Psychology second year. Sujata, welcome. Please unmute yourself.
Sir, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Mute చేయండి మేడం ప్లీజ్.
Yeah.
Good afternoon to all. మా దగ్గర ఏదో కొంచెం టెక్నికల్ ప్రాబ్లం వచ్చింది మేడం, మళ్ళీ సెట్ అయింది. ఓకే, నౌ we can start. Good afternoon to all. We are from Regional Center IGNOU Vijayawada. I am Dr. Prasad Babu, Assistant Regional Director. Today we are going to conduct the academic counseling session for the MA Psychology, Counseling Psychology specialization. Actually, we have planned for the clinical psychology, counseling psychology students, and we have clubbed both the sessions, 2022 January session and 2022 July session. Both the batches we have clubbed, and we are conducting the online counseling sessions. And few of the students sending the messages regarding that, sir, why are you conducting the counseling sessions on working days? So due to non-availability of academic counselors on Saturday, Sunday, we have planned working days. However, we are going to record all the counseling sessions. After the counseling sessions, the recordings will be sent to the all the learners. Don't worry about those who are not attending the online counseling session here. After that, we will send the video recordings to the all the learners. This is the information. And however, each session, MPCE 21, 22, 23, these three sessions will be conducted today, tomorrow. I think Saturday session, tomorrow we will announce whether we have to conduct on Saturday or again that session will be postponed to Sunday. So that will be decided tomorrow because availability of the madam timings. This is the information. And regarding Sunday, Sunday session, we are planning to conduct Sunday internship and project for all the learners, clinical, counseling, and industrial psychology students. But however, industrial psychology students, already we informed that we don't have the counselors and supervisors for the industrial psychology. Those who want to continue industrial psychology with project, they have to move to Hyderabad Regional Center. Already we informed that. So regarding counseling and clinical psychology, we conduct here, and Sunday we will inform. Sunday we will inform you regarding how to do internship and how to do project work and all the information. So please better to attend Sunday also. After that, 8th and 9th, we have planned for the clinical psychology students. So that information also already we forwarded to the all the learners. This is the information from our side, and madam will start theory session, theory class for up to 5 o'clock. After that, we'll close the session, and again tomorrow 3 to 5 p.m. again one more session. And regarding Sunday, tomorrow we will inform you whether Saturday will be there or not. Otherwise, Saturday session will be postponed to Sunday afternoon. Sunday morning session will be conducted as it is 11 to 1 o'clock for internship and project. So these are the information from outside, and all the learners of January 2022, those who are attended here, please pay the examination fee on or before 10th of this month. Already the link is available in the IGNOU website, and please pay the examination fee for all the papers, including practical, internship and project. 6 papers you have to pay examination fee. If you are failed to pay the examination fee for any of the paper, practical or internship or project, you are not allowed to attend for the Vijayawada examination for the internship and project and practicals. So this is the information regarding practical classes. So we are waiting for the guidelines from the Delhi headquarters. Once we receive the guidelines from the Delhi headquarters, whether we have to conduct online or offline, so we will inform you very soon. So this is the information from our side. One or two quick questions, and we'll start our counseling session by the madam. Okay, madam,
Yes.
you can continue, madam.
Okay, okay. Is it audible, sir?
Yes, yes, audible, madam.
Okay. So, good afternoon to all. So, Prasad Babu Garu, I think most of you might be knowing me. I'm Dr. Vimala and academic counselor. We are going to discuss about all the 3 papers on counseling specialization. Today, we are going to have uh, MPCE 21, that is counseling psychology paper, first paper on counseling psychology. And this is an introductory paper where you will understand what exactly counseling is. In the second unit, there are 4 books, 4 blocks you are having. First block, you will understand what exactly counseling is, the concept and the skills which are required for counseling. And the second volume, you are going to have the different approaches for counseling. And the third, there are different types of counseling are there. And fourth block deals with the mental disorders. As a counselor, you should have a little bit understanding of what are the common disorders, mental disorders, which the client approaches you. So these are the four blocks we are having. Let us start with the first block, that is on counseling psychology, first volume. So let us understand everybody is joining in, and you say guidance and counseling, there is a lot of demand for this course throughout the world, I can say that. Why this? You might be knowing about that. There is a lot of the society is changing very rapidly, which the people are unable to adapt themselves to the changing scenario. In all the spheres of life, the changes are occurring. In this scenario, everybody needs some guidance. And because we are not able to adapt in this scenario, we are developing some psychological problems also. For that, the counseling is also needed. Hence, the guidance and counseling has become a very, very important area which needs for all age groups, starting with elementary school children to the elderly people, that is old age. Every sphere of life, every stage of life, lot of changes are occurring, and those changes are very rapid, and they are changing the traditional cultural things and everything. People are not able to adapt themselves, majority of them. They need counseling, and at the same time people need guidance also. Hence, this is a very, very important area which is psychology, students should understand and should know how to address them. This is the main important area. So let us start about the basic thing. This is the need of the subject counseling. Why I mean this is because of the rapid changes which are occurring in the society, and both the economic changes, scientific changes, and social changes, and science and technology. Because of all this, our lot of changes occurred because in our day-to-day life, the emergence of the iPhone, but I can say that technology developments are bringing lot of changes in our life. So hence we need some people, some guidance in this area. All the people need guidance and counseling. So hence it is very important nowadays. So let us understand. So what is the difference? There are three terms which you come across. I am giving only briefly the outlines of and the summary of the papers so that you can go through. I'm not giving the details of all the things. There are certain things which you can read by yourself if I say something. So I'm leaving them and I am telling you the concepts because in 2 hours I have to complete all the 4 volumes. So 4 books. So hence I have taken, I will give you just in an understandable way. I will give you a summary of each of the book so that you can read the book so that it will be easy for you to go through the book and prepare for the examination. So let me say about, there are three important things. One more thing I want to tell you, yes, majority of the books which you are having as your manuals, there is lot of repetition which creates a lot of confusion also to the students. Hence, let I think that it will be better if you note down whatever I am telling so that it will be easy for you to go through. So many of the time the same thing was repeated in different ways. So those are only the different ways, but the thing is the same. Hence, so what I suggest you is to note down what I am telling, the outlines of the papers, so that it will be easy for you to go through and write for the examination. To understand it is it will be easy for you to understand. So hence, let me say about there are three terms which are used in this all these things: guidance, counseling, and psychotherapy. These are the three terms which are very important. Let me say about guidance. Guidance is a continuous process. Everybody needs guidance. Guidance means giving information, telling the process of doing certain things. Because earlier our parents used to give guidance, but today it is not possible because of the changing social scenario. The parents cannot give guidance. Even the teachers who are in the same subject cannot give the guidance because different new areas are emerging every day in all the spheres, whether it is in technology or in knowledge or in skills. Hence, a professional is needed to guide a subject. So guidance is needed for everybody, and it is a continuous process, and it will tell you about it is a positive program. I can say that the person is not having any problem. Everybody needs guidance. We don't have any problem, but it is a positive program. Guidance programs are positive programs, and that's why and they are information giving is more there in guidance aspects. So guidance is a broader area where everybody needs guidance, and we will give information, we will direct you, we will help you to go through certain of the activities in the developmental stages, and also in different areas of our life also we need guidance. So coming to the counseling is another word. Of course, guidance and counseling they are interrelated sometimes. Counseling means when you are having a problem, it is a remedial process. It is not a positive program. Counseling is not a positive program. In the guidance, you may do counseling also. Guidance includes counseling also. Guidance includes sometimes counseling also. But counseling is when you are having a problem, we will go for that counseling addresses a problem, whether it may be a group problem or whether it may be a individual problem, or it gives remedies, it gives adjustment aspects. So counseling means you are addressing a problem and you are making the individual to understand the problem to get the solutions by themselves. We don't give, we don't advise, we don't give solutions to others' problems. In counseling, we don't give solutions to other problems. The individual has to get his solution by himself. Here, always the counselor is a facilitator. Remember this, facilitator. He will always tries to understand the client, make the client to understand himself, identify his drawbacks or identify his faulty decisions or whatever is that. And as a facilitator, he tries to make the person to understand his problem and find out the solution. If needed somewhere, if the client is going in a wrong direction, then he will give some suggestion. But giving help or taking decisions for client is not the role of a counselor. Counselor will never take decisions for clients. He will just make the person to understand self-awareness, self-introspection. They will understand and they will get, and he acts like a facilitator. He asks some of the questions, he provokes, he asks some, he gives some words to think, to introspect himself, and then he will ask some questions to introspect the client by himself and find out the solutions. So if the solutions are going in a wrong direction, then the counselor will suggest some remedies. So this is the thing what a counseling means. So basically counseling is remedial. It is for problems. It is for adjustment problems, relationship problems, whatever the problems they are having. So this is counseling. Psychotherapy. Third word is psychotherapy. Psychotherapy means, we use term psychological therapies means this is a treatment. Therapy means treatment. Psychotherapy means psychological treatment. Treatment, we don't use the word. We use psychotherapy. Psychotherapy means what we have to say is where when the problem is related to higher level, for all higher level of intensity of the problem is more. It is when it is related to relationships or adjustment problems or whatever the problems, mostly it is relationship problems which are severe. So when the problem is severe, we go for psychotherapy. If the problem is normal adjustment problems or like lower level of problem, we go for counseling. When it is a normal procedure, we go for guidance. Guidance is a positive program for everybody. So you might have understood the difference between, again I am telling you, guidance is for all. In the guidance process, it is a developmental process. It is a developmental process. If there is any problem in the process of development, while guiding, he may also counsel. So counsel is remedial. It is for problems. And psychotherapy is if the intensity of the problem or the severity of the problem is more, we go for psychotherapies. So this is the difference between these two, these three. So this you should be very, very thorough with these three things. So guidance includes counseling also. Guidance includes counseling also. Sometimes even in counseling, they may give some guidance also. So these two, that's why these two terms are interrelated. They go together. So sometimes in counseling, they need guidance. They will give guidance, and guidance also they will give counseling aspect also will be overlapped in the process while doing this. So psychotherapy is if the problem is severe, we go for psychotherapy. So this is the very important thing which you have to understand. Then you might be knowing about the characteristics of a counselor. In there a number of times the characteristics of counselor is given in different chapters in your material. Basically, the counselor, what are the basic qualities of a counselor is, first he has to understand himself. Self understanding of the counselor is very much needed, and a awareness about the impact of oneself, um, impact of oneself on others. So if I say something, it has an impact on others. That I should understand first. As a counselor, I should have a self-awareness. Whatever the word or whatever the thing I say, it has an impact on others. So he should understand the impact of himself on others. Hence, he should be counseling is a very intellectual activity. Don't think giving advice is counseling. It is an intellectual activity where you have to understand yourself and you should aware that you are impacting the other person. So yourself, you are impacting your words and your communication has an impact on others. This is very, very important. So you should not talk loosely, whatever comes into your mind. Every word you speak has an impact. So nowadays, people are climbing. People are. It has become a fashion to what I can say that to name the disorder. So suppose if anybody says you are suffering with anxiety, you are suffering with something depression, like that, people are saying no, that is not right. It has an impact on other individuals. Don't name the disorder unless you are very much thorough or very much unless it is assessed. Don't say that. But it has an impact. You said you are very intelligent. It has an impact on the child. So whatever you say, the counselor say it has an impact on others. So he should be careful about that. This is the basic character which the counselor has to develop. And as you know, the listening skills are very important. So while listening, you have to understand the emotion, facial expressions, the words which you are using, how you are using, all the things. It includes listening. Listening doesn't mean only listening the words. Listening includes the meaning behind the words, the emotion behind the words, and all these things. You should have listening skill, the words which he is using. This is another important skill which, and third thing is communication. He should have a good communication himself, and he should be able to understand the complexity of the communication of the client also. You should have good communication skills. This is one thing. You should also be able to understand the communication complexity of the client also. These are the important characters. Along with this, you should have negotiation skills. Sometimes you have to negotiate with the client. You should have problem solving skills also. If the client is going in a wrong way, you have to help him to solve his problem by himself. So, and with along with this, you should be assertive. This is very, very important. You should be assertive, and other thing is you should be empathetic. Empathetic means you should be able, you should keep yourself in the position of the client and try to understand. Empathy, putting yourself in other. Empathy is the basic quality of why the client is talking like that. If you are put yourself in that position and understand the feelings, emotion, and the condition of the client. So empathy and confidentiality. This is very important because all the psychological problems, nobody wants to reveal the psychological problems with all. So unless the person feels that he's confident, including this is the basic character ethics of a counselor. We'll have one chapter on ethics also. Basic ethics of a counselor is confidentiality. You are not supposed to say any word uttered by the client, even to their parents, if it is not necessary. That should be the confidentiality the counselor has to maintain. And you have to respect the client. This is very, very important. respect the client, and credibility, and I told you about the confidentiality. Respect the person means, don't think that when a person comes with a problem, don't analyze it and say it is such a small problem or big problem. Who are the person to say, who are you to say that it is a big or small? Because the person is suffering, whether it is big or small, he is thinking it as a big problem, he came to you. So don't say that this is nothing. If he say it is nothing, you are not respecting the feeling or the severity of the problem. So you have to, and don't under respect the client, your client. So nobody wants disrespect from anybody. If you disrespect them, they don't want to, unless they have confidence on you, they don't reveal their problem properly. So you have to develop good personal relationships with the client. This is very, very important. All these are there in your, these are the very important things which you have to keep in your mind while doing counseling and counseling sessions. Internship, you have to do some counseling activity also. For that, you have to, this personality is very important. Every word you utter has an impact on the client. So be careful while talking. Try to understand the communication of your client. So all this, if you understand this and put it in practice, it becomes normal for the counselor. So try to use this. So there are for counselors, this is the basic characteristics of a counselor. And there are number of training programs are there on counseling, training areas of counseling. There are number of training areas. There are many sub areas in counseling. So for all this, the trainings are being given. So the list of the training programs are given in your first book on counseling psychology, first volume. So I'm not going to read out that. You can read about that. These are the training programs, training areas for counselors. What are the relationship training, empathy, how to, all the characters should be trained. You should be empathetic. How you should be empathetic? How to develop interpersonal relation? How to develop communication? Whatever characters I told you, listening skills. For all these bits of all the areas, there is training programs available. So you should train yourself in these areas. Hence, you will become a very good counselor. So these are so the counselor has to undergo all these trainings. Then this is about counseling, and there are number of people used to say, Madam, it has an RCI recognition. Can I go for RCI? What is RCI? చాలా మంది అందరూ అడుగుతుంటారు, ఆర్సీఐకి వెళ్ళమంటారా, దీనికి ఆర్సీఐ రికగ్నిషన్ ఉందా? RCA is Rehabilitation Council of India, which only is addressing the disability. It licenses only for the counselors for disability only, disability counselor. It is dealing with only, but disability may be mental disability, physical disability, or blind or deaf or whatever. When a person disability and a person comes under disability, it comes under Rehabilitation Council of India. The normal counseling will never come under Rehabilitation Council of India. Normal counseling and guidance is different. Rehabilitation Council of India, RCI, deals with disability only. Remember that. So licensing from RCI, you won't get for counseling and guidance. If you are counseling a disability, mentally retarded person, or you specialized in that, doing that, then you need RCI recognition, RCI licensing, RCI licensing. So if it is not a disability, general counseling and guidance will never come under RCI purview. Remember this. This is very important. So this is the only thing which we are having in India, RCA for disability only. So this is the about the first unit of this first book. All these are given in the first unit. Coming to the second unit, they have given you about the process of counseling. and process of counseling is given there. So this is also, I'm giving you in a nutshell, what is the process of counseling. There are number of subheadings, subtitles, and all these are there. Let me say about the objective. What is the objective of counseling? Is the objective of counseling is to make your client to understand himself and to find the solution for his problem by himself. The counselor acts like a facilitator, helps him to find his problem. How he helps? By questioning or giving the target words, or sometimes through his suggestions, whatever is that. He tries to make the client to understand himself and learn the problem solving. So this is the objective of counseling. Not giving solutions to any of the problems is not the counseling activity. Giving solutions is not counseling. Making the client to understand himself, getting the solutions by himself is counseling. Okay. So what is the process of counseling? What is the process of counseling? Then let me understand. In the first step, I am telling in a brief, condensed, summarized way. So only to understand, to make you to understand about the process. And in the beginning also I told you there are so many repetitions. If you read it again and again, you will get confused. That's why I am telling you. The process, the very first step of process is you have to collect the information from the background information from the client. This is important. So even in your case study or while counseling, you have to. So because the background information has an impact on the present problem. So whether it is an educational problem or whether it is related to emotions or whether related to the intellectual problem, whatever is that, we have to understand the background. So socio-economic background and his health conditions, all this information, there is a standardized performance which you are going to have in your internship. So that background information you will collect. This is the first step in counseling. After collecting the information, you have to develop a rapport between the client and yourself. That means don't go directly into the problem. Don't go directly into the problem. You have to make some rapport. How do you make rapport? Asking some of the questions which the client is very comfortable. If you ask his name or what are you doing, what are your parents doing, like that, some of the questions, what are your strengths? If they ask about their strength or successes, they feel very comfortable. They will be relaxed. Usually when they come to you, they are in a tense mode. They are not relaxed. So that is by developing the rapport, you have to make the client to relax. For that, you can ask for success. If anybody asks me about my successes, then I will be enlightened and I am ready and my mood will be become happy. So ask about, depending upon the client. It is not no hard and fast rules. You have to develop and relax the client and develop good relationship. Sometimes you have to make that client has to develop some confidence on you. You can say that it is totally confidential. I don't reveal it to anybody. So feel free like that. All these things in between. If you say that, the client will develop confidence and you try to reveal his problem. So because nobody wants to reveal the problem totally. So unless we understand the problem, we can't give the remedial interventions. So this is the second step is you have to develop rapport. So while developing the rapport, you have to, after developing some rapport and the client is free with you, then you have to identify the present problem with which he came to you. You have to identify the problem. While after developing rapport, you have to identify the problem. And then you have to make a case formation. So you understand the problem, you made a case formation. After case formation, you can ask the client. So this is the problem you are having. What do you want? What is the answer you want for this? What you exactly want? That means what goal the client wants to reach. Goal setting. The next step is goal setting. This is the problem. I am getting very low marks in my subjects. I'm very unhappy. This is the problem. Then this is my problem. Then the next step, what the case information is that I am getting low marks. Then what is the goal setting? I have to set the goal. Now I am getting 40 marks. My goal is 80 marks or 60 marks. So in the next step, the client and the counselor together will make a goal. What do you want exactly? So now the client is also working for his goals. He said, this is the goal which I want. Suppose if then the next step is goal setting. After setting the goal, this is important. After setting the goal, sometimes along with the client, you have to implement some action plan. What to do to get this? This is called as intervention in psychology. Intervention or action plan is intervention. What to do to get from 40 to 60 or 40 to 80? What I have to do? This is the intervention. You have to read 3 hours, 2 hours in the morning and 1 hour in the evening is the intervention. Action plan for next month. And you have to write the next monthly exam. This is the action plan. So this is called as implementation, and we will make a plan, intervention, depending upon the problem. You have to make an intervention, and then you have to ask the client to implement it for 2 days or 3 days. So he will go, he will follow the plan for 2 days, and third day he will come. If he says, I am not comfortable with this plan, I am not able to do this, these are the hurdles I am getting for that, then you can reorient the plan, or you can give some more suggestions to overcome the hurdles. Again, you will reorient the plan and make them two. So this is the next, you have to evaluate the plan. And after that, the counseling will get closed. So these are the main steps. Taking the information, first step. Rapport building, second step. Identifying the problem. Then making making the case formation and goal setting. Implementing the intervention. We don't say action plan, intervention in psychology. Intervention and evaluating the intervention and closing the session. So these are the different steps we follow in counseling. Even in practice, these are the steps you have to follow. And in the being in rapport building itself, we have to develop, I told you, good relationships with the client. So we have to develop the good relationship with the client and working relationships, not the permanent relationships. It is only working relationship. So when the counseling is over, you should terminate the relationship. It is not a permanent relationship. So you have to build those relationships. So this is the process of counseling. This is the process of counseling. So this is about the second. After closing of the counseling, there is no further termination of counseling. Depending upon the client's position, we will terminate the counseling process. I think by this you are very clear about the process of counseling. This is given in the second unit, process of counseling, termination, and all these things. So I told you in the beginning, I am making you summarize the unit. To summarize the unit. Then we are coming to the third unit. Third unit is theoretical approaches. I'm again telling you is in the theoretical approaches, in the first year beginning itself, you might understand that what psychology is. There are different psychology studies about the behavior of the yes, scientific study of the behavior of people. While in the scientific study, there are different approaches. Like any other thing, even for the scientific study of human medicine, medicine is a science everybody knows very well. There are different approaches like allopathy, homeopathy, naturopathy, whatnot, Ayurveda. These are the different approaches with the same goal of treating the patient and bringing them back to normalcy. This is the common goal for all the approaches, but the approach is different. Approach is different in medicine also. There are different approaches. You go for allopathy, Ayurveda, homeopathy. They are having their own assumptions and they try to treat the patient in their own way. Similarly, even in psychology, for studying the behavior of people, for the scientific and systematic study of behavior of people, there are different approaches. So, among them, the psychoanalytical approach, cognitive approach, behavioristic approach, these are the very important, three important aspects. And the Rogers approach, what is that? All is a person-centered approach. These are the very important approaches which are being used. Among all this, the behavioristic approach is very popular and it is also called as behavioristic. Nowadays, people are calling it as behavioristic technology. Behavioral technology, what they are using the term, behavioral technology is the term which is used, which is most commonly used approach like allopathy. అలోపతి ఎంత కామన్ గా ఇప్పుడు యూజ్ చేస్తున్నారో అందరూ అలోపతికే వెళ్తాం మనం ఎక్కువ మంది. అలోపతి అంటే జనరల్ మనం ఏమంటారు మామూలు ఎంబీబీఎస్ డాక్టర్ దగ్గరికి వెళ్ళడం అలోపతి అంటే ఎలా వెళ్తామో సిమిలర్లీ ది బిహేవియరిస్టిక్ అప్రోచ్ ఈజ్ సచ్ అ పాపులర్ థింగ్. Psychoanalytical approach was also used, but not that much popular. And commonly, it is the behavioristic approach. Of course, person-centered humanistic approaches are also being used because it is being repeated. Today's paper, even 23, 22, in all papers, all these approaches are very many times they are repeated. Hence, today I want to make this theory very clearly so that in again and again I don't want to say it again. Same, I will tell you only the applications of the particular theory because these theories are repeated in many books many times. So if you are not the same theory, the theory with the different application, theory with different application, you have to understand the approach. At the outset, I will tell you about the psychoanalytical approach. This is the most popular approach. Even today, even though it is not being accepted nowadays, the procedures and techniques which are being given by Freud. Freud is the founder of this approach, psychoanalytical approach. And there is no experimentation in this approach nowadays. This approach is not being called as a scientific approach because there is no experimentation, but the techniques are being used by many psychiatrists. Even today they are using the techniques given by psychoanalysts, Freud. So let me say what exactly Freud approach is for behavior, and then we will go to the, and remember that whatever the Freud says, all the things are abstract concepts which do not exist. They are only the abstract concepts with different names. So we can't see them. They are the abstract concepts. The first concepts which were given by Freud is basically a doctor. Freud is basically a doctor, transformed into a psychologist. Can say that He's and he's the sometimes he is being called as the founder of psychology also, but he is not the founder. But he's such a impression for more than 100 years. His theories are being followed, and he gave such an impact on psychology. Okay, so in counseling, this is an approach based on Freud's theory. So let me say a few words about the Freud's theory. Freud theory says our psyche has a, we are having, he has given three concepts: id, ego, and superego. This is the structure of this psyche, he said. Id, id. What is the, if you ask me, what is the meaning of id? There is no meaning. This is the only the functions we can say that. I told you in the beginning itself, these are only the concepts. Id, ego, and superego. These are the three concepts he has given, which are present in our psyche. Id is called as the wishing nature of the wish, desire, something, kavali ane korika. Wishing nature of the psyche is called as id, and the reality, whether when whatever the desire, whatever the wish, the id gets, the ego wants to satisfy that in reality. Id desires, ego satisfies in reality, tries to satisfy in reality. And third, superego is a moral sense. Moral sense. So it is like a master. It controls both id and ego. Whether the desire is, it is a moral sense means social control. It says whether the desire is socially acceptable or not, whether the process by which you are going to fulfill that its desire, the process, reality, what you want to do, is socially acceptable or not. And then superego is the master of all the three: id, ego, superego. These are the three, are the structure of the psyche. And where are they? We don't know. He didn't say anything about this structure, psyche. Our psyche consists of all the three. In this, what he said is, it is the wishing nature. He said, when it is very, if they behave in a proper way in their limitations, it desires and ego tries to fulfill it, and when the superego master, it controls when if it is not. Suppose I'll tell you one example. If it wants to have 100 marks to have a job or get 1,000 crores, now the 1,000 crores has become a normal word. 100 crores and 1,000 crores. Wants to have 100 crores in my bank account. My id wants. Ego wants. Get the 100 crores by robbing the bank or getting somebody or doing some unethical practice, because it wants to desire, fulfill my desire. Then superego comes and says, this is not the way. It controls the desire as well as the process by which the ego wants to fulfill it. So this is the, if all the three work coordinatedly, the person will become normal. If one of the factors, suppose in my psyche, if it is very strong, I go on desiring, there is no end for my desires. It leads to psychopathology. If I'm not satisfied anytime, because one after the another, I am getting so many thoughts, so many desires. So when a person is having lot of id is very strong and ego is confused to fulfill it, both of them are confused, creating to large psychopathology. What he said, it leads to psychopathology. It leads to psychopathology. Similarly, if ego is a stand, ego is a strong, then it wants to fulfill the ego in whatever the manner it wants. Sometimes the person, if ego is very strong, they will become antisocial. They will fulfill the ego's its desire in an antisocial manner. So the people will become antisocial. The first cadre becomes psychopathologic. So even in psychopathology, also second cadre who are having strong ego becomes antisocial, and the persons with moral sense, that is the superego, high, strong superego. They feel that everything they used to feel very guilty. ఇది తప్ప ఇది రైటా, ఒక అడుగు ముందుకేస్తే 4 అడుగులు వెనక్కేస్తారు. ఇది తప్పేమో అనేటువంటి am I doing any harm to the society? So this is the thought. నా కింద నడుస్తుంటే చీమలు చచ్చిపోతాయేమో. This is such a, if super ego is strong, we can't make even a single step forward. We make 1 step forward and 2 steps backwards. So the coordinated work of all the 3 is health, what he said. And if one of them becomes strong, these are the reasons for getting psychopathology. Then this is one thing he explained, the ego and superego. In the other thing he explained is about, he said, conscious and unconscious. He focused more on unconscious. So all our desires which are antisocial, even if sometimes we will get desires which are antisocial, that's why we don't reveal it to anybody, especially related to sex and aggression. These type of desires we will suppress. All these suppressed ideas will be in our unconscious, and they try to come out of that to conscious level. That is psychopathology. That creates lot of anxiety and creates psychopathology. That is the second thing. And he focused more on unconscious. If you want to treat a patient, you have to understand their unconscious. What are the desires he is having? The suppression of unconscious, unconscious means suppressed only. So whatever is there in our unconscious, we ourselves don't know. So getting them out lead to itself is being taken as a psychodiagnostics. His diagnostic methods are to reveal the unconscious. So third thing he said about, and I will tell you some other place, and about defense mechanisms. He has given lot of defense mechanisms which we use. They are called as ego defense mechanisms. Ego defense mechanisms, which means that, ఒకసారి క్లియర్ గా వాట్ ఈస్ మెంట్ బై ఈగో డిఫెన్స్ మెకానిజమ్స్ అనేది ఒక్కసారి యూ ట్రై టు అండర్స్టాండ్ దట్. ఈగో, ఆల్ ఆఫ్ యూ నో ఇన్ తెలుగు, ఆర్ ఎనీబడి ఫ్రమ్ అదర్ స్టేట్? Yes. Sometimes I'm using that because you can understand more comfortably. That's why I'm using that. Okay. Yes. When coming to the ego defense mechanism, everybody, all our behavior is goal directed. All our behavior is goal directed. If by any of the reasons we may not reach the goal, reasons may be many, we may not reach the goal. If you don't reach the goal, it creates some frustration in us. నేను ఇదేదో కావాలనుకున్నాను, నేను అక్కడికి రీచ్ అవ్వలేకపోయాను. It creates frustration. So frustration is we lose the psychological balance when you are frustrated. The balance tilts. Psychological balance tilts. When the psychological balance tilts, it is an unhappy condition. Then without our knowledge, the psych creates to bring the balance again. They use certain mechanisms unconsciously. Remember it, all the mechanisms we use are unconsciously. అవి మనకి తెలిసి చేస్తే అవి పనిచేయవు, తెలియకుండానే మనం చేస్తాం. I will tell you one example. When you are late to the class, when I ask why you are late, the immediately spontaneously the student's response is, madam bus late అయింది. అంటే we don't want to keep the blame on us. నువ్వు బస్సుకు లేట్ గా వచ్చావు, అక్కడికి బస్ స్టాండ్కి లేట్ గా వచ్చావు, బస్సు వెళ్ళిపోయింది. I don't say that, I don't blame it. Why you failed in the examination? అస్సలు ఎక్కడండి కాంటాక్ట్ ప్రోగ్రామ్స్ నాకు చెప్పారా? ఎవరన్నా నాకు వచ్చి చెప్పారా? నాకు ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ వచ్చిందా? ఇన్ఫర్మేషనే లేదండి, మెయిల్స్ లేవండి. They used to say that. అంటే we don't want to keep the blame on us. అన్ని నేనే నా వల్లే అనుకుంటే మనకి పిచ్చెక్కిపోతుంది, బ్రెయిన్ ఇదవుతుంది. We feel tired. Hence మనకి తెలియకుండానే we used to use certain mechanisms which are very, very cleverly we use them and to keep our balance. Like there are certain mechanisms are given in your textbook, like displacement, rationalization. So I will tell you one example. I am not going to that. There are 10 or 11 items on defense mechanisms. I will tell you one simple defense mechanism so that you can understand what defense mechanism is. I took BP group. I have written now NEET. I didn't get a seat. Then I joined in BCom or BA, something. Or I joined in some other course. And then I used to say, hey, why this medicine? We have to read, we have to study for 10 years, 15 years. After that, వాళ్ళకి వచ్చే జీతాలు ఏంటండి? మిగిలిన వాళ్ళు చూడండి ఎంత బాగా ఎర్న్ చేసుకుంటున్నారు. అసలు దండగండి మెడిసిన్. మరి ఎందుకు చేరావు నువ్వు? బైపీ ఎందుకు తీసుకున్నావు? నీట్ ఎందుకు రాసావు? ఐఆమ్ రేషనలైజింగ్. మనకి చిన్నప్పుడు చెప్తుంటారు సామెతలు, అందని దాక్ష పండ్లు పుల్లన. సో ఇఫ్ యు థింక్ లైక్ దాట్, యువర్ సైక్ విల్ బి బ్యాలెన్స్డ్. Will be balanced. Like that rationalization we use. Sometimes we use displaced aggression. Aggression also. Displaced aggression means it is in a very good manner. In Telugu they have given the sametalu. Atta meeda kopam dutta meeda. Displaced aggression means when the boss hurts me, he shouted at me. I came home and I shouted my children. This is ఎవరి మీద వచ్చింది displaced aggression. If it has to come out because I am frustrated, I use certain other mechanisms like that. These are the defense mechanisms, which ego defense mechanisms, what he is told. These ego defense mechanisms, we use all of them. Everybody uses them. Everybody uses them. But if you use them in a more frequent manner, then it is pathology. People won't believe us. ఒకసారి చెప్తే నమ్ముతారు, 2 సార్లు నమ్ముతారు. ప్రతిసారి నువ్వు కారణం వెతుకుతుంటే, జస్టిఫై చేసుకుంటుంటే నోబడీ విల్ బిలీవ్ అస్. అండ్ మనకు కూడా తెలిసిపోతున్నప్పుడు, అరే నేను జస్టిఫై చేసుకుంటున్నాను అనేది, దెన్ ఇట్ వోంట్ వర్క్. సో ఆల్ దిస్ హ్యాపెన్స్ వితౌట్ అవర్ నాలెడ్జ్, అన్కాన్షియస్లీ, వాట్ దిస్ ఇస్ ఫ్రాయిడ్ సెడ్. సో దిస్ defense mechanisms. So he told about the structure, id, ego, super ego, and these defense mechanisms. And then I told you about what is the other thing I told you about? About psychosexual development is the next stage, and he has given lot of importance to childhood. All our childhood experiences are responsible for our present conflicts, present psychological problems. And he said everything is decided in, everything is, the responsible thing is in our childhood. So he said he focused more on childhood and has given psychosexual development stages. Has given more focus on sex and aggression. These are the two important factors of personality which are being suppressed in the mind as they are not being allowed in the society to reveal openly. Two things, sex and aggression. That's why later all these theories were abandoned. ఎక్కువగా సెక్స్ అనే పదాన్ని, his meaning of sex is pleasure. His meaning of sex is pleasure only. And aggression. ఈ రెండే రెస్పాన్సిబుల్ అని చెప్పి చెప్తూ వచ్చాడు. So that's why later his now I told you about the 3 things. Psychoanalytical theory, 3 things are important. So these are the 3 important things: defense mechanisms, psychosexual development, and id, ego, and super ego. These are unconscious. I told you about unconscious. These are the main responsible things for our psychological disorders. ఎక్కడో somewhere అంటే అందుకని all his therapeutic process included our childhood experiences గురించి చెప్పమన్నాడు. And he focused on this. This is about psychoanalytical theory. And that's why he used certain techniques. He used certain techniques in counseling. In counseling, he used certain techniques. The first step is you have to find out the cause for the psychopathology, means the psychological disorder. For that, he used a free association technique. Free association is one technique, and the second technique is a dream analysis. Dream analysis. These are the two techniques which he used. In free association, this is a very, very effective test, I told you. Even in IGNOU classes, we are having free association test, I think, in the first batch itself. So, even though this is a time taking, I will tell you an example of that. There are certain statements, 30 statements will be there. Each statement, so I loved this, and blank untundi pakkana. Whatever comes into your mind, you have to fill up that. This is the just free association. This is the test. There are 30 statements, and I love this, I hate this, I hate dash, I love dash. Like that, there are adjectives and there are 30 statements. So in the 30 statements, you have to write down the whatever comes. So I love, I eat apple. Like that. Yeah, apple is a normal response. So I hate anangane. So one of the student, he conducted the test of on his child, I think, a 24-year boy. He wrote, I hate youngsters, he wrote. Youth, not youngsters, youth. He wrote, I hate youth. So after going through all the statements, I called the person and I asked, so who has written this? He said that my son has written all these statements. So I asked him to complete that. He has written that. Then I asked, I hate youth. A 20-year boy saying that I hate youth means this is a abnormal thing. He don't say that. Then he said, yes, ma'am, I am having a problem with my son. He won't mix with anybody because they used to talk about movies and all that, alcohol, say smoking, movies, all these things they used to talk. So he's not willing to mix with them. He stays alone. Then this is with a single statement because he wrote, I hate, the remaining statements are very normal responses. So if you find any of the abnormal responses, then you can identify the condition of the person. Why this? Then you can address this factor. After test, I am able to say. Then he said, this is a very big problem with my son. He won't mix with anybody because he don't like the shouting and all the youth. He wants to be very silent, dignified. So atla manaki test li enta mar chudandi, we are not accepting psychoanalytical theory, but all the psychiatrists are following some of the tests given by Freud, even now, even today. So this is free association is one of the tests he has given. Ante unconscious mind lo di bayitiki vachestundi. So if you know the unconscious mind, we are not asking directly. If you know the unconscious mind, you can address that. This is the technique which Freud used. This is one. And the second is dream analysis. So he said dream analysis has written a lot of books on dream analysis. Well, I'm not going into that. So depending upon the continuous dreams for a week or per month, if he listens all the dreams of the person and then he analyzes the psychological condition, his assumption is that in dreams, the unconscious thoughts will come out in dreams so that you can understand the reason behind his abnormal behaviors. So all these are regarding, so he used to say about dream analysis. All these are regarding Freud. I have given half of the things about Freud now. Somewhere, some other place, I will give the remaining. I don't want to repeat again the ego, superego, unconscious and conscious, and the defense mechanisms and the psychosexual developments. I didn't say all the stages, but I will tell you somewhere. So this development has given a lot of importance to childhood. So this is about the theoretical approach. What is the Freud's approach? Thinking about unconscious about defense mechanisms. ఈ రెండు కానీ తెలిస్తే మనకి you can analyze, you can understand the problem of the individual, and you can go for the counseling techniques. So this is the approach of psychoanalytical approach. I think you are clear. Any doubts regarding this? Shall I go to the next one? Okay. Right.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. But next, I'm not going to give the again all the details. This is about Rogers person-centered therapy is there, Gestalt approach is there, rational emotive therapy is there. There are number of approach. In the first volume itself, all the approaches are given, and in the second volume, each approach was given in detail. Same thing repeated in the second volume also. Shall we end this and we will think about the Rogers theory? I will tell you person-centered theory here, and then we will go to the, is it 4:30? Oh, we are still in the first volume. Okay. So, because I don't repeat it in any other volumes again. So this person-centered therapy is by Rogers. This is the second approach, person-centered approach. In this, people are having the main assumption of this Rogers person-centered therapy is people are having the capacity and ability to solve their problems and rational moving to realistic goals. They are having all the capacities to move forward towards self-actualization. People are rational and realistic. This is the first assumption they made, and they are capable of fulfilling their own potential for growth. But when they are negative, antisocial emotions are these are some of the things which obstructs the person for reaching their goals. One is for reaching their goals. What are this is the negative, antisocial, and antisocial emotions are resulted. Negative, antisocial emotions are resulted because of their frustrations, and these are the hurdles for the individual to reach their goal. So human beings are potentials. They are potential, but these are the conditions which are obstructing their growth. Hence, if you address them, if you identify them and address them, we can solve their problems. He used the techniques of unconditional positive regard is the technique, because he's that people are having the capacities. Hence, you have to respect the person. This is the one of the important technique. Unconditional positive regard. Whatever is the condition of the individual, you have to respect them. Positive regard means considering the client as worthy. వర్దిగా కన్సిడర్ చేయడాన్ని పాజిటివ్ రిగార్డ్ అంటాం. యూ హ్యావ్ టు కన్సిడర్ ది client as worthy and empathetic understanding, and you have to identify the congruence where he was upset, and counselors genuine and transparent support is very much needed in person-centered approach. So this is the person-centered approach, where they're very simple. Person-centered, lot of people, humanistic approach. This is many of the people used to follow this technique also. Our basic assumption is that they are worthy, they can do things, they are capable, but because of some of the frustrations or some of the emotional conditions, they are not able to join. So we have to understand them, we have to respect their worthiness, and be empathetic and understand the conditions, understand their congruences, and then we have to help them. This is and we have to do counseling in those lines. This is the person centered therapy. And there are some other therapies we will come across with again while dealing with other things. And the last unit, fourth unit deals with about the ethics, code of ethics. So, professional ethics. Psychology is a professional subject. There is difference professional and non-professional. Professional subjects are the subjects where the impact is direct on the human being. Like teaching is a profession. Teacher's impact is direct on student. Similarly, medicine is a profession. Law is a profession. Okay. So these are the professions. Okay. Where they are having certain ethics. Ethics means, the rules and regulations and conditions. Ethical rules. Ethical means these are the good and bad. These things you have to do. These things you should not do. There is a law maintenance will be also be. Is it good for a lawyer to do this? Medical ethics. They have to follow the medical people has to follow the medical ethics. Similarly, we are also having who will make the ethical rules means the experts in that field make a group, make a association. So all medical associations are there. Many of the medical registered associations are there. Expert in that group uh, together they will make certain of the rules. These are called as professional ethics. Even in psychology, professional code of ethics are there because I told you, especially in counseling, I told you the counselor's communication, every word has an impact on the client. That means you are directly impacting people. So we are also having certain ethics. These are counseling professional ethics. Among all this, we will take the ethical rules are framed by American Counseling Association, ACI. That is the standard counseling association. American Counseling Association is there. They they made these ethical rules for counseling. So what you are supposed to do, what you are not supposed to do. Ethical rules, ACA, ethical code. In India, what we are having is only RCA ethical code. Rehabilitation Council of India made its ethics. When you are dealing with disability, what you have to do and what you should not do. Those were the rules given by in India, we are having RCI ethics only. The entire world is following the ACA, American Counseling Association ethical code given by them. They said, among all these things, what are the ethics of counseling is relationship is very important, confidentiality, professional responsibility, relationship with other professions. This is also one of the ethical code is you have to improve. You should not be like that in 10 years back, where should I am? I should not be like that. I should update my knowledge. This is one of the ethical rule of a profession. Professionals are not supposed to keep quiet. They have to update themselves regularly. Similarly, even psychological counseling also, new techniques are coming. Hence, you have to update. And training, teaching, and research is needed in counseling. And there are number of ethical issues were discussed in that ACA rules. So these are given in the last chapter of this first volume, and you have to go through them. Ethical issues. You need not remember all the things. What are the 8 sections? They are there, and you have to go through those 8 sections, and you can understand the thing. Then coming to the second volume, counseling models and approaches. I told you about psychoanalytical in the first volume itself. Now we will do some other things in the second volume which were given.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, shall we
Yes,
go to
ma'am.
the basic things I have given in the first volume, psychotherapy. So
Okay.
we will go to the next thing, behavioral therapy, because the other things I will come across in the while doing the other things. I will tell about the theories also. So
Okay, ma'am.
the important thing in psychoanalytical theory is past is more important than present. That is the most important thing. This is the important psychoanalytical theory. They focused more on past, and they used techniques I told you about: free association, dream analysis, interpretation, and all the things. Okay, so let us come to the second approach, behavioristic approach. This is very important, and this is being used nowadays everywhere in every counseling. It is called as behavioral technology also. At present, they are calling it as behavioral technology. Professor Ganeshan from Coimbatore, he is the expert in this area, and he is number one throughout the world, I can say that, on this behavioral technology. He is from Bhartiya University professor, and he is being recognized by all the countries as an expert in behavioral technology who uses counseling techniques. Who uses, even today, he is 75, still he uses, is very good in his, he uses new techniques on behavioral therapy. Okay. So before going to the behavioral therapy, let us understand what behavioristic theory is. This is very important. What is this? This is 435. Okay. So if you are not able to complete, then also it is okay, because because the latter things you can read out. Okay. Behavior. No, no. My focus is only to explain you the theory so that you can understand everywhere they
Okay,
are
ma'am.
coming. So let me say that behavioral therapy, you might be knowing, this is one more approach to study of behavior. So this was given by Watson in the first year itself. You might have understood. He is the pioneer, and he is the person who first started behavioristic laboratory, and he started psychology as a science subject. Behavioral therapy was a behavioristic approach was started by him. So what is behavioristic approach? It is like a science. What he said, cause and effect relationship. Similarly, he said behavior is, what is behavior? Behavior means every action is a behavior. My explanation is a behavior, moving my hands is a behavior, listening is a behavior, everything is a behavior. Everything is a behavior. Every action is a behavior. Okay? Behavior means, what he said is, behavior is yes or relationships. Yes or. Stimulus and response relationship. In between there is organism. The means of human beings are there. Whatever is that, animal or whatever is that. O is organism. SOR. Stimulus response in between organism. So what he said is, without stimulus there is no response. Without stimulus there is no response. So hence his assumption is that, behavioristic assumption is that, for every behavior there is a stimulus. There is a stimulus. That stimulus is called as cause, and response is behavior. అస్సలు స్టిమ్యులస్ లేకుండా రెస్పాన్స్ లేదు. కారణం లేకుండా బిహేవియర్ రాదు. Whether you know it or not, there is some reason. Maybe biological, maybe psychological, maybe social reason. Whatever is that. So what he said is, behavior is yes or relationships. And this is one basic thing, basic assumption now, behavioral concept. Then he said, another important రెండో పాయింట్ అండి, బిహేవియరిస్టిక్ వాళ్ళు చెప్పిన రెండో పాయింట్, except instincts which are inborn instincts, everything is learned. Except instincts, everything is learned. Second statement, they said, everything is learned. Why you are getting problems? You have not, three reasons for getting problems. You have not learned the things which are required by you to handle your life. That's why you are getting problems. You have not learned. నేర్చుకోలే. కమ్యూనికేషన్ నేర్చుకోవాలా నేను సరిగ్గా, ఎవరితో మాట్లాడినా గోలే. ప్రాబ్లం ఏంటి ఇక్కడ? I have not learned the things which are required for handling my life. Second thing, I have learned the thing, but in a wrong way. అసలు మాట్లాడకపోవడం ఒకటైతే, మాట్లాడిన ప్రతి మాట అవతల వాడితో గొడవ వచ్చేస్తుంది. I have learned communication, but in a wrong way. So, not learning the communication is one thing, learning the communication in wrong way is another thing. These are the reasons for getting psychological problems. So he focused more on learning, except instincts. Everything is learned. We learn to dress, we learn to talk, we learn to everything we learned. That is the concept of behavioristic technology. Learning was given the highest. Learning is everything, what they said. So, and you studied in your first year, I think, about different types of learning. Have you studied about classical learning, instrumental learning, trial and error? Yes? Have you
Yes, ma'am.
studied?
Classical. Yes, ma'am.
Pavlov experiment, all this you have learned.
Yes, ma'am.
He said these are the learning procedures.
Yes, ma'am.
Classical conditioning, instrumental conditioning, and imitation of trial and error and imitation. All these are the learning things, learning methods. Learning methods. So, in classical conditioning, he used all these 4 learning concepts for therapy. Used behavioral therapy means using all these learning concepts. ఈ learning concepts మీకు తెలుసు. ఈ learning concepts ని థెరపీలో యూజ్ చేశారు, టెక్నిక్స్ గా మార్చి యూజ్ చేశారు. So, in the first thing, classical conditioning. So, you might be knowing about the Pavlov's experiment, how he conditioned the dog to salivate for bell,
When the food
for
is. Yes, ma'am.
ringing a bell, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So, this is a learning process. Classical conditioning, primitive learning, using only the making the SR relationship. It learned. So, here for what he said is the techniques which were used in behavioristic technology are based on the classical conditioning, systematic desensitization. So phobias, భయం అలాంటివి ఉన్నాయి. ఇక్కడ మనం ఎలా కండిషన్ చేసాం కదా, డాగ్ కి 10 సార్లు బెల్ కొట్టి అన్నం పెట్టి దాన్ని సెలైవేట్ చేసేటట్టు నేర్పించాం క్లాసికల్ కండిషనింగ్. నౌ వీ హ్యావ్ టు అక్కడ ఏం చేయాలి, కండిషనింగ్ లో నుంచి సిస్టమాటిక్ డీసెన్సిటైజ్ చేయాలి. దానికి ఏం చేశాడు, సపోజ్ యు ఆర్ హ్యావింగ్ ఫియర్ ఆఫ్ ఫోబియా డార్క్ ప్లేసెస్, ఐఎమ్ హ్యావింగ్ ఏ ఫోబియా ఆఫ్ డార్క్ ప్లేసెస్. Then systematic desensitization, step wise I was desensitized. I was asked to enter the dark room, stay for about 1 second. చిన్న సింపుల్ టెక్నిక్ చెప్తాను. సిస్టమాటిక్ డిసెన్సిటైజేషన్ లో నాకు డార్క్నెస్ అంటే భయం అనుకో, ఒక డార్క్ రూమ్ లోకి నాకు వెళ్ళడానికి భయం, డార్క్ ప్లేస్ అంటే భయం. డార్క్ రూమ్ లో ఏం చేశారు, నన్ను ఒక స్టెప్ పెట్టి నెంబర్ 1 అని చెప్పి బయటికి రమ్మన్నారు. So I stayed for half a second and I came back. After doing this twice or thrice, then I was asked to go to the room, into the room, and say 1 and 2 and 3 and come back. So I am staying 1 second there and coming back. So I was used to stay 1 second. Like that, systematically I am desensitized to darkness. Slowly, ఒక్కసారి తోసేసి తలపేలా, స్లోగా systematic desensitization. Then sometimes extinction, మనకి రివార్డ్స్ అవన్నీ ఎక్స్టింక్ట్ చేసినందువల్ల ఎక్స్టింక్షన్ కూడా వస్తుందని చెప్పాం. ఎప్పుడు, when the behavior is not rewarded, extinct అవుతుంది. సో బేస్డ్ ఆన్ దట్ అవర్షన్ థెరపీ, ఎక్స్టింక్షన్ బేస్ చేసుకొని exposure therapy, all these are some of the techniques which were developed based on the classical conditioning theory. Similarly, based on operant conditioning. Operant conditioning means who is that? Skinner. Reinforcement is being focused on this operant conditioning, Skinner's operant conditioning. దీంట్లో ఏం చేశారు, ఇఫ్ యూ గివ్ ఫర్ ఎనీ బిహేవియర్ పాజిటివ్ రీఇన్ఫోర్స్మెంట్, ది బిహేవియర్ విల్ బి రిపీటెడ్ అగైన్ అండ్ అగైన్. మీకు ఏ బిహేవియర్ వాళ్ళల్లో ఇన్కల్కేట్ చేయాలని అనుకున్నారో ఆ బిహేవియర్ ని యూ హ్యావ్ టు రీఇన్ఫోర్స్ ఇట్ అగైన్ అండ్ అగైన్. ఇఫ్ యూ రీఇన్ఫోర్స్ ద బిహేవియర్ అగైన్ అండ్ అగైన్, దెన్ ది సేమ్ యాక్టివిటీ రీఇన్ఫోర్స్, పాజిటివ్ గా వాడిని రీఇన్ఫోర్స్ చేసే కొద్దీ యాక్టివిటీ మళ్ళీ వస్తుంది. సో అండ్ దిస్ ఇస్ వన్ థింగ్. మోడలింగ్ is imitation is also being given as one of the learning techniques. If you show them the good models, they will learn. Similarly, this is a learning method. In behavioristic technology, all the techniques are related to learning only. Assertiveness training, communication training, social skill training, interpersonal skill training, all these trainings are being given in behavioristic therapy. ముఖ్యంగా పిల్లల్లో ఎవరి దగ్గర ఏ బిహేవియర్ మనల్ని ప్రమోట్ చేయాలనుకున్నామో ఆ బిహేవియర్ కి విల్ గివ్ పాజిటివ్ రీఇన్ఫోర్స్మెంట్. శబాష్ అని ఒక్కసారి మెచ్చుకున్నాం అందరిలో, ఇఫ్ యూ ప్రైజ్ హిమ్ దెన్ ఇట్ విల్ బికమ్ ఏ రీఇన్ఫోర్స్మెంట్. హీ విల్ అగైన్ ట్రై టు డూ దట్. సిమిలర్, సో దీస్ ఆర్ ది classical conditioning and operant conditioning methods and social skill training, communication training, ఇవన్నీ కూడా మనం బిహేవియరిస్టిక్ టెక్నిక్స్ గా వాడతాం. స్కిల్ ట్రైనింగ్స్ అన్ని వాడతామండి పిల్లలతో. అందుకనే స్కూల్ చిల్డ్రన్ తో అడలసెంట్స్ తో ఆల్ దీస్ ట్రైనింగ్స్ విల్ డెఫినెట్లీ హెల్ప్ దెమ్ టు కమ్ అవుట్ ఆఫ్ దేర్ ప్రాబ్లమ్స్ అండ్ టు గ్రో టువర్డ్స్ మెచ్యూరిటీ. అండ్ అదర్ ఇంపార్టెంట్ థింగ్ ఈస్, here we also use behavioral technique lo chaala important di we use relaxation techniques. Let me tell you relaxation techniques evo like meditation, physical exercise, breathing exercises, and in psychology especially we use Jacobson relaxation technique. So please go through that technique. Usual ga అన్ని టెక్నిక్స్ అందరూ వాడేవి. యోగా చేస్తాం, ఎక్సర్సైజ్ చేస్తాం, బ్రీదింగ్ చేస్తాం, రిలాక్స్ అవుదాం, ఎవ్రీబడి యూజెస్. బట్ జాకబ్సన్ రిలాక్సేషన్ టెక్నిక్ is exclusively used by psychologists, where each part of the body is the client is asked to focus on each part of the body and then hold the muscle and slowly relax the muscle. Hold the muscle and relax the muscle. Each muscle from toe to head. Each muscle was asked to hold for some time, for few seconds, and then release. It takes nearly 40 minutes for doing this Jacobson relaxation exercise. But this is the only psychological exercise which is used in relaxation technique. Is one of the relaxation techniques. Then we are coming. CBT also comes under behavioral technology, cognitive behavioral technology. Sir, we are still in the second volume. We'll try to do that and complete it as soon as possible. So the other technique is CBT. So this is the Beck CBT technique. In this cognitive behavioristic technology, cognitive behavioristic techniques. These are Beck. Beck is the main. Here, you know what is a cognition? Cognition means it is the higher level understanding which includes perception, thinking, learning and memory, and intelligence. These are the four aspects together. We think and we will understand certain things. In cognitive behavioral therapy, what we do is cognitive activity. Cognitive activity affects our behavior. Cognitive activity affects our behavior. It may be, if this cognitive activity may be altered, మార్చాలి, మారిస్తే బిహేవియర్ మారుతుంది. సో కాగ్నిటివ్ యాక్టివిటీలో హౌ వీ కెన్ ఆల్టర్ అవర్ పర్సెప్షన్స్. దీన్ని ఇలా ఉంది అని పర్సీవ్ చేసిన దాన్ని దాన్ని if you re-perceive the thing in a different fashion, then the problem will be solved. This is a technique. I will tell you, for this, I will tell you an example. If I am having a negative idea regarding somebody, negative attitude regarding somebody, my perception is that a spouse should be like this. This is my perception. This is creating a lot of problems to me because of my perception. If I reorient the perception, the problem is solved. The counselor helps to reorient the perception. If I am this is one way. This is about perceptions. If I am having wrong thoughts and irrational beliefs which are creating problems, if we reorient them by the counselor, then the person will become normal. So there are 4 aspects in cognition. We can reorient the perceptions, we can reorient the thinking process, we can reorient the learning process, and then we can change that behavior of an individual by the counselor. మనం ఫస్ట్ ఏంటి తప్పు, ఒక ప్రాబ్లం వచ్చిందంటే పర్సెప్షన్ లో రాంగ్ ఉందా, బిలీఫ్ సిస్టమ్ రాంగ్ గా ఉందా, థింకింగ్ రాంగ్ గా ఉందా, you have to identify and reorient by the counselor so that you can. This is the cognitive therapy. Cognitive therapy. Among the cognitive therapy, we use having the ABC model. You might be knowing about this. ABC, A, B, and C. A is the activating event. A is the activating event. ఒక ఈవెంట్ ఏదో మనకి ఒక ప్రాబ్లం క్రియేట్ చేసింది. సబ్కాన్షియస్ లెవెల్లో నుంచి we had certain assumptions. An individual has experienced one event. I am having some subconscious assumption and some cognitive belief system undi. Rational కావచ్చు, irrational కావచ్చు, belief system undi. This belief system and my assumptions made me for a self-talk. నా అంతటి నేను దాని గురించి ఏవో అనుకున్నా, దాని గురించి థింకింగ్, సెల్ఫ్ టాక్ దాన్ని బట్టి వచ్చింది. It created me emotion and feeling, and it created behavioral activity. A, B, C. A is activating event and my assumptions and my cognitive activating event ఏవైనా కావచ్చు, ఈవెంట్ కావచ్చు, నా సబ్కాన్షియస్ అజంప్షన్ కావచ్చు, మేబీ మై కాగ్నిటివ్ బిలీఫ్, ఇర్రేషనల్ బిలీఫ్స్ కావచ్చు. మెయిన్లీ ఫర్ సో మెనీ ప్రాబ్లమ్స్ అవర్ ఇర్రేషనల్ బిలీఫ్స్ ఆర్ రెస్పాన్సిబుల్. Irrational beliefs, and which leads to our thinking. Our thinking creates to emotions and feelings, and which directs to behavioral actions. So this is the process of cognitive behavioral therapy. It is called as ABC therapy. So దీంట్లో ఏమి మనము, this is the model, cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT model. అందరు సిబిటి అని వినుంటారు. దిస్ ఇస్ ద మోడల్. సో ఆ కాగ్నిషన్ లో ఏ పార్ట్ లో అక్కడ ఆ ఈవెంట్, కాగ్నిషన్ లో ఉండే 4గిట్లో ఏది అనేది ఐడెంటిఫై చేసుకొని, వెదర్ ఇట్ ఈస్ ద బిలీఫ్ సిస్టమ్, ఆర్ వెదర్ ఇట్ ఈస్ ద అజంప్షన్, ఆర్ వెదర్ ఇట్ ఈస్ ద ఫాల్స్ పర్సెప్షన్, ఆర్ వెదర్ ఇట్ ఈస్ ద రాంగ్ లెర్నింగ్, ఏది అనేది తెలుసుకొని, విచ్ ఈస్ క్రియేటింగ్ ఎమోషన్స్ అండ్ ఫీలింగ్స్ అండ్ దిస్ బిహేవియర్స్. ఫైనల్లీ you have to reorient the person on this by doing, as a counselor we have to reorient them. ఆ రీఓరియంట్ కి సిబిటీలో కొన్ని టెక్నిక్స్ ఉన్నాయి. టెక్నిక్స్ ఇందాక నుంచి నేను టెక్నిక్స్ చెప్తూ వస్తున్నానండి. టెక్నిక్స్ లోనే ఇందాక బిహేవియరిస్టిక్ దాంట్లో కూడా టెక్నిక్సే చెప్పాను. నవ్ ఐఎమ్ టెల్లింగ్ యూ అబౌట్ ద టెక్నిక్స్. కాగ్నిటివ్ రిహార్సల్. కాగ్నిటివ్ రిహార్సల్ ఈస్ ద టెక్నిక్. కాగ్నిటివ్ రిహార్సల్లో ఏంటంటే, ఒక రిహార్సల్ మీన్స్ వీ విల్ క్రియేట్ అన్ ఈవెంట్, వీ విల్ మేక్ ది ఇండివిజువల్ టు పార్టిసిపేట్. ఒక డ్రామా లాగా ఒక ఈవెంట్ క్రియేట్ చేసి, ఈ ఈవెంట్ లో నువ్వేం చేస్తావని డ్రామా రిహార్సల్ వేయిస్తాం. సో దట్ అక్కడ ఏమన్నా తప్పు ఉంటే కరెక్ట్ చేస్తాం. దెన్ హీ విల్ అండర్స్టాండ్ హిజ్ ఓన్ ప్రాబ్లమ్. దిస్ ఇస్ ఎ టెక్నిక్ విచ్ వీ యూజ్ టు చేంజ్ హిజ్ బిహేవియర్. Cognitive rehearsal, direct problem తీసుకోకుండా, we will give a problem, we will assume him and ask him to rehearsal on that. రిహార్సల్ ఆ దాంట్లో ఎనాక్ట్ చేయమంటాం. ఆ రిహార్సల్లో నువ్వేం చెప్పావు, ఏం ఆలోచించావు, ఏం చేసావు. సో ఈ రిహార్సల్లో యూ కెన్ కరెక్ట్ దెమ్. సో దట్ విల్ indirectly help him to correct himself. Okay, this is about the cognitive rehearsal. So validity testing, this is another method which we use in cognitive behavioral therapy techniques. We use what is that, validity testing. Our validity testing, we will ask the client to objective to think about his feelings, thoughts and beliefs with objective evidences తో వాళ్ళని చెప్పమంటాం. ది ఫీలింగ్స్, థాట్స్ అండ్ బిలీఫ్స్ ని విత్ హీస్ ఎవిడెన్సెస్ చెప్పమంటాం. చెప్పి వ్యాలిడేటింగ్ అనమాట ఇది. వాళ్ళకి ఈ కారణాల వల్ల అని చెప్తారు కదా, చెప్పినప్పుడు వ్యాలిడేట్ టెస్టింగ్ అంటాం. ఇవి వాళ్ళని అడిగి అక్కడ ఎక్కడ ఎర్రర్ ఉందో దాన్ని మనం కరెక్ట్ చేయడం అనేది జరుగుతుంది. దిస్ ఇస్ వ్యాలిడిటీ టెస్టింగ్, సెకండ్ మెథడ్ వి యూస్. And the third one is journal writing. This is a very, very common method we use. We'll ask them to write the journal, to note down the emotions. From the journal, you might be knowing about what is journal writing. So suppose if you want to manage your anger, you have to write down the number of times you experienced the anger today. And what are the events which created you anger. All this we will note down today. At the end of the night, we will just go through them. Today, 10 times I got anger. This is the journal telling me that. And the events also, because of this, I got anger. Tomorrow, I want to reduce it to, today I got 10, tomorrow I want it to 7 at least. So consciously, I will try to reduce that. By journal writing, this is the very best way the individual can come out of any of the problem. To anger or emotions, depression or whatever is that, they can come out of that by this journal writing. And guided discovery. Here in guided discovery, the client is asked a number of questions to understand himself. Guided discovery. This method is called as a guided discovery. We are guiding the client through so many questions to find out what his feelings are there, his emotions are there. Through this guided, the client is able to discover his problem and come out of that. This is one more technique. And positive reinforcement modeling is also used in positive reinforcement, I told you, and modeling. These are also used in our thing. So this is about the second volume, third volume. I will tell you in 2 sentences about the third and fourth volumes in 2 sentences. So they are having 4 units in the third thing: HIV/AIDS counseling, educational and vocational counseling. This is the only area which I want to focus. And I think if possible, next session I will focus on this: educational and vocational counseling, and child protection and child rights counseling. So you are going to get a number of questions in this book also, and addictive and anxiety counseling. So what are the techniques you use, and what are the things you have to do? That is, shall I make a simple thing, or shall I stop here? So
we'll stop here, madam. Already
As-
1 minute.
1 minute, yes. Okay.
Close అయిపోతుంది.
So next time we will have a discussion of that. The one last paper on mental disorders I will continue in the next class. No problem. That they have to understand about mental disorders. The remaining things, because these are the theories, I have covered the theories. Those are very important for them to understand. They have to understand them. So, do you have any question? Only 1 minute.
Ma'am, can
Yes.
we note down and ask you in the next session if possible, ma'am?
Oh.
Because time will run out, ma'am. We're so sorry.
Okay.
And madam, few students already writing mails to regional center Vijayawada, regarding, sir, we have paid only theory papers, MPCE 21, 22, 23, or MPCE 11, 12, 13, like that only. We have not paid the fee for practical paper and internship and project. What about that? So up to 10th we have time. Better to try for the add courses. So, some people are telling that already your examination form is filled. Exist. So now second time there is no chance to fill the remaining courses. So wait for some time, and before the starting of examination, university usually give to regional center to add the courses with the fine of 1100 rupees. So if anybody interested to continue this session itself, you have to pay 1100 plus the three courses 600, 1700 by way of demand draft and bring to regional center and give it to the regional center before the examination. 1 week before, generally we used to get the link. So during that time, you have to visit the regional center and pay the fee for 1700 for the three papers. If anybody left the or forget the pay the examination fee for 600, practical component and project internship. These are the information. So remaining thing tomorrow will continue. Hmm? Thank you,
Thank you,
ma'am.
ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.